You've been asking wrong your entire life, and it's not your fault. Nobody taught you that asking has nothing to do with words, rituals, or desperate pleas to the universe. You repeat affirmations, visualize, meditate, do everything self-help books tell you to do, but you keep living the same reality. Do you know why? Because you're trying to convince the universe of something you don't even believe yourself, and the universe doesn't hear your words. It feels your real vibration, the one you try to hide even from yourself. The truth nobody wants to tell you is this: you're already asking all the time. Every thought is a request. Every emotion is a request. Every deep belief you carry is a request. The problem isn't that you don't know how to ask. The problem is that you're asking for exactly what you fear most, because your mind is constantly rehearsing failure scenarios, reliving old traumas, anticipating disasters. And the universe, this intelligent field of infinite possibilities, is responding with surgical precision to every signal you emit. But there's a way to reverse this, a way that quantum physicists like Itzhak Bentov discovered when studying the nature of consciousness and reality. It's not about working harder. It's not about pushing yourself to exhaustion. It's about something much deeper and more revolutionary, changing the frequency you emit right now. Because the reality you live isn't the cause of your problems. It's merely the effect of what's happening inside you. And if you change the cause, the effect has no choice but to change as well. In the next few minutes, you'll discover why your previous attempts failed and, more importantly, how to ask in a way the universe cannot ignore. Not because you'll learn to manipulate cosmic laws, but because you'll finally understand how they really work. And when you understand that, everything changes. Itzhak Bentov used to say something that completely disarms the way we were taught to live. Everything you desire, everything that moves you, that makes you wake up in the middle of the night with that feeling of incompleteness, is already ready. It's not something that needs to be conquered through Herculean battles or endless sacrifices. The central question isn't that you need to chase after it, fight, force doors that seem closed. The point is something else, much more subtle and revolutionary. You need to recognize what's already before your eyes. Think about how human perception works. For centuries, we were conditioned to believe that our eyes simply capture reality as it is, like a camera records a landscape. Bentov destroys this illusion with surgical precision. He demonstrates that perception isn't passive. It's not a neutral mirror that merely reflects what's outside. On the contrary, it's an active process of creation. You don't see the world as it is. You see the world as you are. Every cell in your body, every neural pattern in your brain is constantly interpreting, filtering, selecting what deserves your attention and what should be ignored. This means that two human beings can be in the same place, at the same moment, and live completely different realities. One sees possibilities where another sees only obstacles. One feels abundance walking the same streets where another only perceives scarcity. The difference isn't in the street. The difference is in the observer. What you seek, what you deeply long for, isn't something separate from you, floating somewhere distant in the cosmos waiting for you to be worthy enough to reach it. It's a direct, inevitable consequence of your inner state right now. Bentov goes further. He explains that each thought that crosses your mind isn't an isolated, unimportant event. Every thought is an energetic declaration, a frequency you transmit to the field around you. And the universe, this intelligent system you inhabit, isn't deaf. It listens. But it doesn't listen to your words. It doesn't care about memorized prayers, elaborate rituals, promises you make in moments of desperation. The universe responds to your vibration. It responds to what you truly are, not to what you say you want to be. Understanding this changes everything. It means you can no longer delegate responsibility for your reality to external factors. You can no longer blame circumstances, the government, the economy, the people around you. Everything you experience is the exact reflection of the frequency you're emitting. And this frequency isn't determined by your superficial intentions or conscious desires. It's determined by the complete set of your being, your deepest thoughts, your unconscious beliefs, your repressed emotions, your silent fears. The good news, the news that Bentov brings with such enthusiasm, is that you're not trapped in this frequency. You're not a victim of your programming. Every second, every breath, you have the capacity to choose a different frequency. But this choice doesn't happen only at the mental level. It's useless to repeat positive affirmations while your entire body is contracted with fear. It doesn't work to visualize abundance while your heart is drenched in guilt. The real change, the change that Bentov describes, happens at the deepest level of your being, where thought and emotion meet and create the energetic signature that defines your life experience. What you call asking has nothing to do with the act of pronouncing words or executing some kind of spiritual ceremony. That's the first mistake that needs to be undone. People spend their entire lives reciting requests, making wish lists, lighting candles, repeating mantras, thinking that the more times they say something, the better their chances of being answered. This is a complete distortion of the process. Asking, in its truest essence, is a state of being. It's the absolute coherence between what you think, what you feel, and what you truly believe deep in your soul. Every thought you have is a declaration, not a verbal declaration, but an energetic declaration. It's as if you're constantly tuning a radio, adjusting the frequency. And the universe, this intelligent field of infinite possibilities, is always listening. But it doesn't hear your words. It feels your vibration. You can spend hours repeating, "I am prosperous, I am abundant," but if deep in your chest lives a knot of anxiety about how you'll pay the bills at the end of the month, which message do you think is being transmitted? The deepest one, the truest one, the one that's rooted in your nervous system, not just floating on the surface of your conscious mind. This explains why so many people get frustrated with spiritual practices. They follow the steps, do everything right, visualize, affirm, meditate, but continue living the same reality. The problem isn't in the technique. The problem is in the incoherence. You cannot fool the universe. You can't fake an internal state you don't possess. You can't use mental tricks to mask a deep belief that you don't deserve, aren't capable, aren't ready. The universe doesn't let itself be fooled because it's not responding to the show you're presenting. It's responding to what you truly are in this moment. Think of this like a navigation system. If you program the GPS for a destination but keep driving in the opposite direction, the device will keep recalculating the route infinitely. You can yell at the GPS, you can promise you'll follow the instructions, you can even sincerely believe you're going in the right direction, but if the steering wheel is turned the other way, you'll never arrive where you want. Your thoughts are the GPS. Your emotions and beliefs are the steering wheel. And the reality you experience is simply the place you're arriving at based on the real direction you're taking, not the direction you say you're taking. Now, here's something few people understand. You cannot stop asking. It's impossible. You're constantly emitting signals. Every emotion is a request. Every belief is a request. Every thought pattern you repeat dozens of times a day is a request. Silence is a request. Anxiety is a request. Gratitude is a request. You're not choosing whether to ask or not. You're only choosing, consciously or not, what you'll ask for. And most people never realize they're asking for exactly what they fear most, because their minds are constantly rehearsing failure scenarios, reliving past traumas, anticipating future disasters. Observing your thoughts becomes, then, the fundamental first step. Not judging, not repressing, just observing. Like a scientist observing an experiment. You need to clearly see which thoughts dominate your mind, which emotions you repeatedly feed, which stories you tell yourself about who you are and what's possible for you. Because these stories aren't just innocent narratives. They're commands. They're precise instructions you're giving to the field of possibilities about the type of experience you want to manifest. And the field always obeys. Always. No exceptions, no judgments, no mercy. Now let's go to something even deeper, something that can completely turn upside down the way you see your problems. If you desire success, prosperity, harmonious relationships, full health, but carry within you a visceral fear of failing, an ancestral guilt for wanting more, a whispering belief that you don't deserve it, you're sending contradictory messages. And the universe can't distinguish between your desire and your doubt. It doesn't separate what you consciously want from what you unconsciously fear. It simply captures the dominant frequency and responds to it. This may seem unfair at first. You might think, but I really want to change, I really desire this transformation. And your sincerity isn't in doubt. The problem isn't a lack of desire. The problem is that desire is competing with an equally powerful force, sometimes even more powerful, your rooted belief. These beliefs were planted in you over years, decades perhaps. They came from your childhood, your parents, society, painful experiences you interpreted in a certain way. They're so deep you don't even realize they exist. You think you're asking for abundance, but at the deepest level, you're asking for confirmation of your scarcity because that's what you know, that's what you believe to be true. The external reality you live isn't the cause of your problems. It's the effect. This is the most revolutionary principle and at the same time the hardest to accept. We were all trained to believe the opposite, that bad things happen and then we feel bad. That external circumstances determine our internal state. But the truth operates in the opposite direction. Your internal state creates external circumstances. The reality you experience is the perfect, mathematical reflection of what's happening inside you. Not what you'd like to be happening, not what you say is happening, but what's really happening at the deepest levels of your consciousness. Understanding this is liberating and terrifying at the same time. Liberating because it means you have all the power. You don't depend on anyone changing, on any external circumstance aligning perfectly. Terrifying because it means you're totally responsible. You can no longer point your finger outward. You can no longer wait for the world to change so you can finally be happy. The change needs to start where it always should have started, inside you. And here's the technical detail that changes everything. You cannot stop emitting signals. Your consciousness is constantly transmitting. Even now, as you absorb these words, your body is emanating a specific frequency based on all your active beliefs, all your fears, all your hope. This frequency is like a beacon. It attracts experiences that correspond to it. You're not attracting what you want. You're attracting what you are. And if you want to change what you're attracting, you need to change what you are. Not superficially, not just by changing your conscious thoughts, but by changing the deep structure of your beliefs, the foundation upon which all your perception is built. Observing your thoughts becomes, then, not just a beautiful spiritual practice, but an absolute necessity. You need to become aware of the patterns running automatically in the background of your mind. You need to grab these limiting beliefs, bring them to the light of consciousness and question, is this really true? Or is it just a story I accepted as truth? Because the difference between a belief and an absolute truth is that belief can be changed. And the moment you change a fundamental belief, your entire reality begins to reorganize itself to reflect this new frequency. The mind functions like a mirror, not an ordinary mirror, but a mirror that reflects with absolute precision what you place before it. If you spend your days focused on lack, on scarcity, on what's wrong, on what you don't have, that will be the reflection the mirror returns to you. Not because the universe is cruel or punishing you, but because that's its only job, to reflect with perfection what you're emanating. It's a neutral, impartial system, completely devoid of judgment. It doesn't decide whether you deserve or don't deserve. It simply mirrors. Many people live their entire lives fighting with the reflection in the mirror. They look at their lives and see financial problems, toxic relationships, debilitated health, opportunities that never come. And then they start fighting with these external manifestations, They try to change the reflection. They work more hours, push themselves to exhaustion, seek solutions outside themselves. It's like trying to fix your hair by touching the mirror instead of touching your own hair. You can spend your whole life rubbing the glass, but your appearance won't change. What needs to be understood, what needs to be felt in the depths of your being, is that you need to change what's in front of the mirror, not the reflection. You need to change your internal frequency, and this happens through the conscious cultivation of specific internal states. Certainty, for example, not the fragile hope that maybe something good will happen, but the unshakable certainty of someone who already knows the outcome. Wholeness, that feeling of already being complete, of already having everything you need right now. Gratitude, not as a forced exercise of listing things you should be grateful for, but as a genuine state of recognition for the abundance that already exists. These internal states aren't decorative. They're not just pleasant emotions that make you feel good temporarily. They're tools of creation. They're specific frequencies that reorganize the field around you. You cultivate certainty, and the mirror reflects opportunities. You cultivate wholeness, and the mirror reflects abundance. You cultivate gratitude, and the mirror reflects more reasons to be grateful. The system is elegant in its simplicity and relentless in its precision. But here's something that dissolves many spiritual confusions. This universal intelligence that's reflecting you, this field that responds to your frequency, isn't separate from you. It's not something external, distant, floating in the clouds that you need to beg or convince. Whether you call it God, quantum field, cosmic consciousness, source, or any other name that resonates with you, this intelligence isn't outside. It's inside. You're not separate from it. You are an expression of it. A wave isn't separate from the ocean. It is the ocean expressing itself temporarily in a specific form. Accessing this intelligence doesn't require pilgrimages to sacred places, secret initiations, or years of esoteric studies. It requires something much simpler and at the same time much more challenging: turning inward, stopping the search for answers outside yourself, stopping the search for masters to tell you what to do, stopping waiting for external signs to confirm you're on the right path. Everything you need to know, everything you need to access, is already inside you. It always has been. The only reason you don't realize it is because your attention is constantly directed outward, chasing reflections, trying to change effects without touching the causes. The most powerful request you can make doesn't involve words. It doesn't involve pleas, negotiations, or promises. The most powerful request is silence. But not just any silence. Not the empty silence of someone who simply stops talking. The silence we're referring to is that deep state where your mind quiets down, where the incessant whirlwind of thoughts diminishes, where you finally manage to hear beyond the mental noise that dominates your days. In this silence, something extraordinary happens. You begin to feel genuine gratitude. Not fabricated gratitude, not a mental list of things you should be thankful for because someone said it's important, but a gratitude that springs from the direct recognition that you're alive, that you're conscious, that you're part of this intelligent and infinite system. This gratitude is the purest message you can send to the universe. It's as if you finally stopped shouting your demands and started whispering a deep yes to life as it is. Many people believe they need to convince the universe to grant their wishes, as if there's a negotiation happening, as if you need to present convincing arguments about why you deserve to have your desires fulfilled. This is a complete distortion. The universe doesn't need to be convinced. It's not evaluating your character or measuring your worthiness. You don't need to persuade anyone. You just need to align. And alignment isn't effort. It's relaxation. It's allowing. It's stopping swimming against the current and starting to flow with it. Think about the difference between climbing a mountain and opening a channel for water to flow. Climbing the mountain requires immense effort, sweat, pain, perseverance. You're fighting against gravity, forcing your body upward, conquering each meter with hard work. But opening a channel for water to flow is different. You're not forcing the water to go up. You're simply removing the obstacles that prevent the natural flow. Water wants to flow. Abundance wants to flow. Life wants to flow through you. The problem isn't that you need to conquer it. The problem is that you're blocking the flow with your limiting beliefs, your fears, your doubts. Trying to change your life only through external actions, only by working more hours, only by trying harder, only by doing more, is like trying to fill a leaking bucket. You can pour water all day, but if you don't fix the hole, the bucket will never be full. Actions are important, yes, but they need to come from a different place. They need to be the natural result of an aligned internal state, not the desperate attempt to compensate for an internal state of lack. Changing the cause means going to the root. It means stopping trying to modify the fruits while ignoring the health of the tree. You don't change the fruits by messing with the fruit. You change the fruits by taking care of the roots, the soil, the nutrition the tree receives. Similarly, you don't change your external reality by desperately messing with external manifestations. You change your external reality by aligning your internal energy with what you want to manifest. And this alignment doesn't happen through force. It happens through acceptance, surrender, trust. Aligning your internal energy means feeling now what you would feel if you had already achieved what you desire. Not as a mental trick, but as a genuine internal reality. If you desire financial abundance, alignment means feeling prosperity now, not as a future hope, but as a present truth. If you desire love, alignment means cultivating love within yourself now, not waiting for someone to appear to make you feel loved. External reality always follows the internal, never the other way around. Maintaining coherence amid chaos seems impossible for most people. You wake up with a clear intention, with an aligned internal state, and then the world starts happening. An unexpected email brings bad news. Someone treats you badly in traffic. A bill you forgot appears. And within minutes, all that clarity, all that alignment you cultivated in the morning dissolve. You find yourself dragged back to autopilot, reacting to circumstances, letting external events determine your internal state. But there's a way to move through chaos without being consumed by it. And this way passes through a deep understanding about the nature of thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are what observes the thoughts. This distinction may seem subtle, but it's absolutely transformative. Your thoughts are passing events that cross your consciousness. Some are useful, others are destructive. Some reflect truth, others are just echoes of old traumas. But none of them is you. Think of this like the sky and the clouds. The sky is always there, vast, spacious, unchanging. The clouds pass. Some are dark and heavy, others are light and white. Some bring storms, others just float gently. But the sky remains unchanged. It doesn't become the clouds. It simply allows them to pass. You are the sky. Your thoughts are the clouds. And confusion, suffering, happens exactly at the point where you forget this and start identifying with the passing clouds. Observing your thoughts without identifying with them creates a space between stimulus and response, a space where choice becomes possible. Because the moment you realize you're having a thought instead of being the thought, you gain power. Power to choose whether you'll feed that thought or let it pass. Power to consciously decide which seeds you'll water and which you'll let dry. This capacity for conscious choice is what transforms your frequency. Every thought you choose to nurture grows. Every thought you choose to ignore weakens. Over time, you start noticing patterns. You realize certain thoughts appear repeatedly, like old scratched records playing the same worn-out songs. Thoughts about not being good enough. Thoughts about the world being unfair. Thoughts about everything going wrong. These thoughts aren't truths. They're mental habits, and like any habit, they can be changed. Consciously choosing which thoughts to nurture changes everything. If you notice a thought of scarcity arising and consciously choose to redirect your attention to thoughts of abundance, you're literally reprogramming your internal system. Not through repression, not pretending the thought of scarcity doesn't exist, but simply choosing not to feed it with your energy. It's like having a garden. You can't prevent weed seeds from falling on the soil, but you can choose which plants you'll water. And here comes something that closes this circle of understanding: gratitude. But not gratitude as you were taught to practice it. Not that mental list of things you should be grateful for because someone said it's important. Genuine gratitude isn't just a pleasant emotion you experience after something good happens. It's a frequency, an energetic declaration that tells the universe, I already have. Not I hope to have, not I'd like to have, but I already have. This distinction transforms everything. Genuine gratitude doesn't wait for physical manifestation to then express itself. It anticipates. It feels wholeness before the form appears. It's as if you could already feel the warmth of the sun before it rises, as if you already knew dawn is coming even when it's still dark. By being grateful, you tune into what has already been accomplished on the plane of possibilities, allowing you to manifest from a place of abundance, not scarcity. You're not thanking for the future possibility. You're thanking for the present reality, even though it hasn't yet materialized on the physical plane. And in this state of anticipated gratitude, you stop chasing. You stop begging. You simply open yourself to receive what's already yours. Look at your life right now. Look honestly. Which thoughts are you repeatedly feeding? Which emotions dominate your days? What's the story you tell yourself about who you are and what's possible for you? Because this story isn't just an innocent narrative. It's the command you're giving to the universe, and the universe is obeying. It always has. The question is, are you satisfied with what you're receiving? If not, if you really want to change, then stop waiting for external circumstances to change first. Start observing your thoughts now. Start consciously choosing what you'll nurture. Start cultivating gratitude not for what you hope to have, but for what you decide to feel you already have. Because real change, the change that lasts, doesn't happen out there. It happens in here. And it begins now. Not tomorrow. Not after you finish that project, pay that bill, solve that problem. Now, you have all the power. You always have. The only question that remains is, will you use it? If this content made sense to you, if something inside you recognized this truth, then subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Because this is just the beginning. We have much more to explore about the nature of consciousness, about how you truly create your reality, about the secrets that transform passive observers into conscious creators. Don't let this knowledge die here. Apply it, practice it, and keep learning, because you deserve to live the reality you've always known was possible.